channel. My dog is playing right in front of you, so you're gonna hear her. I am sorry. It is way too cold to send her outside because it's Canada and there's a lot of snow and it's really cold out today, so she's just gonna be playing. Anyways, in today's video, you guys are like, okay, we're sick of hearing the disclaimers about your dogs and your kids being loud. In today's video, we're going to talk about different ways that you can read more in the new year. So one thing that is on my kind of goals for the new year is that, look at her, she's like, Mom, pay attention to me. Mom, don't make your video, pay attention to me. Get down, please. Down. One of my bookish goals for the new year is that I want to read more, make more time to read. And specifically in my case, physically reading, okay? So I have read, as we speak now, over 115 books right now. It's about 2 weeks until the end of the year, and that's great. I believe my Goodreads goal was 56 books this year. Basically what I've always done in the past is I have taken what I read last year and added one extra book to it. And so this year my goal was only for 56 and I'm over 115. So I'm really happy with that. But that being said, a lot of the books are audiobooks that I've been reading, and I'm not going to get into the whole back and forth conversation about whether or not listening to audiobooks counts as actually reading. In my opinion, it does, because you are still taking in the story. Like whatever way that you are taking in a story, it still counts, okay? So that's what I think anyways. But I would like to make sure that I am putting in more of an effort to physically read this year, which I have a lot of other goals that I want to get done this year. So I really need to come up with some good ways of how I'm going to fit this in. So that's where this video comes into play, and I'm going to be giving you guys a few tips that I'm going to be implementing in the new year in order to read more. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to become a lot more structured with my time, and that is something that I really struggle with. I'm more of like a, you know, float around and just like get stuff done type of person, and as much as I always want to like try and have lists and stuff, it's something that I really have to work on and I struggle with. So I have my planner, and I personally like to have everything in like a physically written down planner. So I've got this planner here, and I am going to be focusing a lot more on actually using it, because what I'm bad for is using like this part, like the calendar part, but then not actually filling things in. And what I want to do is I want to actually schedule time for myself to be reading. So I want to start implementing my daily planner and actually breaking down my day into sections, especially like days that I'm at home with my kids. Those are the days where it can just like all get loose, and it just, you know, you're with your kids and your kids are like, let's do this, let's do that. And you're just off the rails and you're just doing whatever, and then nothing ends up getting done. So I want to make sure that I'm scheduling like from this time to this time, I'm going to be actually doing this, and I'm going to be setting reminders on my phone in order to alert me when I need to stop whatever I'm doing and switch over to a new task. So I am going to be scheduling specific reading time into my day. So that is the first thing that I'm going to be doing. Second thing that I'm going to be doing is swapping out TV time for reading time. Now I obviously, I mean, I guess it's not obvious, but I honestly do not watch a lot of TV to begin with. But most of the TV that I do watch is right before bed. And I'm going to be switching that time over into reading. I like to fall asleep with the TV on in the background. And lately, the past week or so, my son has been wanting to sleep with me. My 5-year-old has been wanting to sleep in bed with me. And so when I come to bed at night, he's already in bed asleep, and so I can't turn my TV on and fall asleep to that. So I've been kind of forced to read the last few nights, and just reading until my eyes get so heavy that I just like need to fall asleep. And what that taught me is, like, first of all, I got through a heck of a lot more reading in the past week than I have like the past couple of months. And I realized how much time I actually really have to sit there and read, rather than like watching a half an hour of TV every single night before I go to bed. Like, that adds up, right? So instead of doing that, instead of falling asleep to the TV, I'm gonna start falling asleep to reading. Now, the third tip is going to be, for those of you that have not tried audiobooks, is to try audiobooks. And maybe those of you that don't listen to them very often, listen to them a lot more. So a lot of times what I like to do, this is how I get so much audiobook listening in, is because I do it when I'm doing pretty much anything. When I'm cleaning up, when I'm cleaning, when I'm getting ready in the morning, when I'm cooking supper, I have an audiobook going all the time. I have my headphones on. And then like a lot of times it's my way to kind of relax and decompress a bit. I tend to get very like overstimulated very easily. And so especially like being, for the most part, a stay-at-home mom to 2 boys, like they are crazy and they're always screaming. They're always chasing each other around. They're always running around the house, and like noise level is like up here all the time. Well, you guys have even just heard it sometimes in my videos, right? Like sometimes it's just like loud, and they're downstairs at that point. And so I get overstimulated, and sometimes I need to put on my headphones and just like escape a little bit in order to like bring my anxiety down, and that really helps with me. So I've definitely like been starting to listen to my audiobooks pretty much when I'm doing any sort of like chores around the house. Yeah, anytime that you can kind of fit it in. When I'm driving, I'll be listening to one, like, and lots of times you do have to kind of make adjustments, because what I used to do all the time was watch YouTube videos whenever I was doing that kind of stuff. But you kind of have to like decide something that you're going to give up, right? Like a lot of people don't just have a lot of free time when they're not doing anything at all. So you have to be able to like swap things out. So I replaced my YouTube videos with an audiobook, and now I've gotten through a lot more books. There's just so many books that I want to read in my lifetime. I'm just like, I'm never gonna have time unless I decide what's more important, right? Like, is that YouTube video more important, or is your book more important? My YouTube videos are always more important, though you should probably always watch mine instead of anything else. Okay, and so I'm kind of piggybacking off of those ones is talking about replacing time, okay? So I want you to really sit down and think, and what you can do also, what I've heard people doing is kind of making an allotment of their day. Like sit down at the end of the day and just jot down everything that you did today. And you can kind of see what you have done and what you've spent time on. And I bet you there's a lot of things that you spend time on that you don't even really realize that you're spending time on. And maybe some of those things can be cut out. So think of things that you can replace. So I don't know, maybe every night you go for a walk around your neighborhood, okay? Well, what are you doing during that walk? Could you listen to an audiobook then? Or is there something that you can replace? Like maybe there's an activity that's not quite as important that maybe you've been spending time on. Maybe you're playing video games an hour every night. Well, would you rather maybe read? Or is it a video game where you can listen to an audiobook while you're reading? That sort of thing. So sit down and actually think of the ways that you're spending your time, and see if there's anything that you can cut out in order to bring reading time in to replace that. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. And also the last thing is when you're at work, okay? So depending on the type of job you have, you may have areas where you're able to kind of, if you're slow or whatever. I know personally at one of my jobs, if I'm really slow and I'm caught up on all my work, I can kind of do whatever. And so lots of times I will end up reading. But not everybody has a job like that, right? But a lot of people, well, everybody should be getting breaks at your job. So what are you doing when you're on your break from your job? A lot of you are probably sitting there eating and watching something on your phone. That's probably what most people do, or hanging out with your coworkers, talking, whatever. But if you could use that time to sit and catch up on a book, it just gives you a little bit of like decompressing time and relaxing time, and kind of resets you and, you know, enables you to go back out there and finish your job. So those are 5 different ways that you can add in extra reading time this year in order to make sure that you hit your Goodreads goal for next year. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any other tips that I haven't thought of, because maybe I can think of them and use them as well. Anyways, I hope you guys are having an awesome day. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.